We need to determine the total revenue of this company. We know that the revenue from food and beverages is $125 million, and we also know that food and beverages contribute 44% of the total revenue of the company. Therefore, we can say that 44% of the revenues are equal to $125 million. Therefore, 100% is going to be 125 divided by 0.44, these many million dollars, which is approximately $284 million. Soft drinks, the revenue was roughly $29 million, snacks, roughly $24 million, and dairy products, roughly $18 million. The total revenue from the food and beverages product category is $125 million. Therefore, the required percentage is this sum out of 125, which is 71 out of 125, which is approximately 57%. We need to find the range of the revenues from the 9 subcategories of the food and beverages product category. Basically, the range of revenues from the 9 subcategories plotted here. The lowest revenue is from confectionery. It is $5 million, and the highest revenue is from soft drinks. This is approximately $29 million. The difference between these two is $24 million, which is the required range. The revenue from the confectionery subcategory is clearly $5 million. Let's find the revenue from the health and wellness product category, which is 8% of the company's total revenue. We know that 44% is equal to $125 million. Therefore, 8% would be so many million dollars. This is approximately $22.7 million. So one value is 5, the other value is 22.7. This second value is approximately 4.5 times, or approximately 350% greater. D is the right answer. Mathematically, we must find this value here. This turns out to be approximately 355%. 80% of the revenue from the food and beverages product category would be 80% of $125 million, which is $100 million. Now, the revenue from the 4 food and beverage subcategories with the highest revenue are quite clearly the first 4 subcategories here. The sum is 29 for the first subcategory, plus 24 for the second, plus approximately 18 for the third, plus approximately 16 for the fourth. They add up to 87, which is not more than the other value here, which we got as 100. Therefore, answer choice A is incorrect. Let's look at the second part. The revenue from the food and beverages product category is 44% or $125 million, but the combined revenue from all other product categories, excluding the miscellaneous category, would be 50%, because you see this is 44%, miscellaneous is 6%. The sum of other three therefore is 50%. So 44% and 50% are not equal. Therefore, this statement is also incorrect. The combined revenue from the soft drinks and snacks is simply 29 plus 24. It is $53 million. And the revenue from the household cleaning product category is 17% of the company's total revenue. We know that 44% of the company's revenue is $125 million. Therefore, 1% of the revenue would be these many million dollars, and 17% of the revenue would be 17 times as much. This is approximately $48.3 million. Yes, the first value is greater. So this last statement is correct. Potato chips accounted for 35% of the snacks revenue. The complete snacks revenue is $24 million, 35% of which is potato chips. So 35% of $24 million is $8.4 million. Now, the complete food and beverages revenue we know is $125 million. So 8.4 as a percentage of 125 is the required answer, which is approximately 6.7%. The 5 product categories shown in the pie chart are these 5. The complete pie is, of course, 100%. Therefore, the average revenue per product would be 20%. Now we know that 44% is $125 million. Therefore, 20% would be how much? This much. That's approximately $57 million. Let's find the total revenue of the company first. Food and beverages contribute 44% or $125 million. If 44% is $125 million, 100% would be this much. Therefore, the company's total revenue is approximately $284 million. The question says that the regional FMCG market was $5 billion, therefore $5,000 million. We need to find how many times is this 5,000 value of 284. So the required answer is simply 5,000 divided by 284, which is approximately 18. That's the right answer. Excluding the miscellaneous product category, the question says, therefore, this category must be overlooked. Now looking at the other 4 categories, the question seeks the median revenue from these 4. When there are 4 entities, the median is the average of the middle 2 entities. In this case, the middle 2 entities are 17% and 25%. Their average is 21%. Now we know that 44% represents $125 million. Therefore, 21% would represent these many million dollars. The value is approximately 60 million. That's the right answer. When each value in a set increases in same proportion, 10% in this case, imagine all the gaps will also increase in the same proportion, that is 10%, and in result, the standard deviation of the set will also increase in the same proportion. Therefore, the standard deviation would increase by 10%. That's the correct answer. If you want to visualize, remember this slide from the standard deviation chapter. Imagine if each value increases by 10%, the average would also increase by 10%. The gaps would also increase by 10%. So everything becomes 1.1 times here. Now when squared, everything would become 1.1 squared times. The sum would also become 1.1 squared times. But eventually, when square root is taken, the standard deviation would be 1.1 times or 10% more. You may also remember this slide around the properties of standard deviation. As it says, if all the terms are multiplied by the same value x, standard deviation also gets multiplied by the same value x. So when each value increases by 10%, everything becomes 1.1 times. Standard deviation also becomes 1.1 times. So as each value increased by 10%, the standard deviation would also increase by 10%. That's the right answer. Revenue from the subcategory with the highest revenue is this subcategory here, soft drinks. The revenue is $29 million. Now, combined revenue from all other subcategories is how much? We know that the total revenue is $125 million for all the 9 subcategories. Now, soft drinks is $29 million. Therefore, the rest has to be 125 minus $29 million. The ratio of these two values is what needs to be determined. We are looking at 29 out of 96. The closest approximation is 3 by 10. It says that others subcategory has 4 smaller groups not shown here, and the revenue of these 4 smaller groups is in the ratio 2,345. So total we know that this is approximately $7 million. The group contributing the highest share is the group represented by 5 here. So 5 out of total has to be same as the revenue of the biggest category out of the total revenue from others, which is $7 million. So solve it for X. It turns out to be this much, which is $2.5 million. That's the right answer.